They are a to-do list for people and planet.
Right. Welcome, everyone, to the RELX SDG Inspiration Day 2024. This annual event, which has taken place since 2017, brings together thought leaders, corporate representatives, investors, governments, and NGOs to discuss challenges and opportunities to advance the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Now, Inspiration Day is an initiative of the free RELX SDG Resource Center that curates content from across RELX and key partners. That's over 5,000 sources and tools, including their SDG News Tracker with up-to-the-date minute news on SDGs from around the world. And the Resource Center also features the World We Want podcast that profiles people doing extraordinary things to advance the SDGs. RELX is a global data analytics and events company with more than 36,000 people and operations in 40 countries. So such a huge footprint and reach there. My name is Shivvy Jervis, and I'm an innovation expert, researcher, and keynote speaker. I make it my mission to scenario plan and then find those signals, those shifts that will help prepare us for the big digital developments. In particular, to apply my 2 decades of research work around the growth of AI, quite apt for today, and using it and other digital innovations responsibly, sustainably to advance business and society. So we want to look for those advancements and those new use cases in our connected world with a focus on how it can be used to truly help advance society and business, to combine profit and purpose without forsaking one or the other, and most crucially, really advance the quality of life for people like you and I. It's all about meaningful impact, and that's what today is about. I am deeply excited about today, and I know you will be too. The aim is to inspire, to motivate, and to mobilize, quite literally. It's clear that collaboration is key to the achievement of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and we are here to facilitate those conversations. And just for ease, it's worth mentioning I'll refer to the Sustainable Development Goals with the acronym SDGs going forward. Now, the overarching theme for today is a much needed and timely one, in my humble opinion. We are quite aptly calling it In the Age of AI. AI holds tremendous potential for advancing the United Nations SDGs. Now, in particular, generative AI has a lot of opportunities to analyze data and trends at pace, at scale, to apply and further knowledge allocation of resources and action. And on the flip side, we have to be mindful of some of the pitfalls and considerations there. So we're going to present a very balanced and measured view today. Applications to address the global challenges presented by the SDGs, such as human health, poverty, hunger, climate change, biodiversity have potential, and we've got to use it responsibly. Upskilling and access to AI will be critical, but how can we avoid an AI divide between the West and the rest? And where should the AI guardrails be placed? Fascinating subject matter here. You can expect a diversity of themes, from policy prescriptions for AI and sustainable development, AI upside for development, truth and trust in the age of AI, and AI and youth for development, and much, much more. Now, some practical updates before we kick off. Most of the action is happening right here on the virtual main stage. The navigation menu to the left side of your screen as you're facing it gives you options to explore the networking space and expo. And we encourage you to ask questions, fire away using the comments function that will be to your right when you're facing the screen. Now, please be aware the event is being recorded and will be available to view on the RELX SDG Resource Center in due course. It is also being captured by an artist, and we'll be catching up with Scriberia later in the day to see their amazingly vivid illustration. Please do share on social media with the hashtag SDG Inspiration Day. Right. I now want to introduce Dr. Márcia Balisciano. Márcia is founding Chief Sustainability Officer and Global Head of Corporate Responsibility, where she drives practices that ensure recognition for the organization as a leader and works to ensure that their extra financial performance further stakeholder confidence. Márcia also serves on the board of the Foundation for the United Nations Global Compact and is a founding member of the board for the Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizens. And also, as if you didn't have enough time in the day, founding director at the London Museum and educational facility Benjamin Franklin House. Márcia, over to you for your opening comment.
Thank you so much, Shivvy. I am so pleased that you are with us today and serving as our host. You bring so much enthusiasm and expertise as a champion of change, and your knowledge of incredible innovations and how we can use them to thrive. So, as you have said, welcome indeed to the 2024 RELX SDG Inspiration Day. Since 2017, we have looked at issues ranging from the rule of law to biodiversity. But today, our focus is in the age of AI, information to advance the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you to all our speakers, contributors, and partners for what promises to be a fascinating and inspiring day. The more than 190 countries of the United Nations unanimously adopted the SDGs in 2015. It's a beautiful to-do list by 2030 for the world. Each of the 17 global goals is underpinned by 169 targets overall, and each one of them is essential and intersectional. So you can't have SDG 1, no poverty, if you don't have SDG 3, good health and well-being. And you can't have SDG 7, clean and affordable energy, and SDG 13, climate action, if you don't have SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities, and SDG 12, responsible consumption and production, etc. You need SDG 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions as a foundation, and you must collaborate. SDG 17, partnerships for the goals to achieve them all. There has been progress. According to the UN, there has been, since 2015, improvements in key areas, including poverty reduction, child mortality, electricity access, and the battle against certain diseases. But overall, we're not on track. Set back by a global pandemic, conflict, the growing climate crisis, and a lack of funding. The 2024 Financing for Sustainable Development report estimates SDG financing and investment gaps at between $2.5 to $4 trillion annually. So we need to go further faster. How? For 20 years, we at RELX have deployed AI in the creation of our solutions to assist our customers operating in nearly every conceivable sector, which we have accelerated in the last 18 months with generative AI tools to help advance our unique contributions as a business, including protection of society at LexisNexis Risk Solutions, advancing scientific knowledge, research, and health at Elsevier, the rule of law at LexisNexis Legal and Professional, while fostering communities and improving the efficiency of markets at RX, our events business. 2 years ago, we published our Responsible AI Principles in the public domain on the RELX Group website, and we've committed to updating them this year, given a rapidly evolving landscape. During today's RELX SDG Inspiration Day, we convene colleagues across the world encompassing industry, government, investors, non-governmental organizations, students, and others to look at the AI upside for health, energy transition, transformational government, and civic engagement, speeding up processes, analyzing vast amounts of data in record time, allowing people to concentrate on the value added and additional in the quest for a more sustainable world. But we also must address the challenges of AI, how to avoid bias, misinformation, distrust, a skills and technological infrastructure gap, and the energy-intensive and water-consuming computing power required for AI. And we'll cover these themes today, along with the need for good AI governance and having the right policy prescriptions. To navigate this complexity, we need leaders to be knowledgeable about the risks and opportunities for sustainable development, leaders who use the power of their positions to be steadfast advocates for positive change. We need inspiration for the work ahead. There is no one greater example than Ban Ki-moon, 8th United Nations Secretary General. His priorities were, as Secretary General, and remain, to mobilize actors at all levels to address global challenges, from climate change to human rights. His efforts led to the landmark Paris Climate Agreement, and he is the architect of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. He is the co-chair of the Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizens, one of our esteemed Inspiration Day partners, which seeks to empower youth and women to become active global citizens in creating a sustainable future for everyone. He holds over 20 other positions, including the presidency and chairmanship of the Global Green Growth Institute. He also serves as the chair of the Global Commission on Adaptation, the Ethics Commission of the International Olympic Committee, and the Bao Forum in Asia. It's my great honor to introduce Secretary Ban.
Your Excellencies, dear co-organizers, distinguished participants, I am delighted to welcome you to the 10th Annual RELX SDG Inspiration Day, focusing on technology and artificial intelligence. I extend my greetings to Ms. Márcia Balisciano, Head of Corporate Responsibility at RELX, and thank her for inspiring leadership and partnership with the Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizens. I would also like to welcome the 7th cohort of the Ban Ki-moon Center's Global Citizen Scholars who are in the audience, talented young African leaders driving change for the SDGs in their communities. The SDGs hold a special place in my heart. As the 8th Secretary General of the United Nations, I fought for their adoption nearly a decade ago to provide one universal plan that would end poverty, protect our planet, and ensure prosperity for all by 2030. Despite progress, Much work remains, with only 6 years remaining to fully implement the SDGs. Significant social, economic, and technological disparities persist, particularly between the global North and South. Success depends on strong global political will, multilateral partnerships, and include use of technologies and knowledge. Today's theme highlights AI's potential to tackle critical injustices in health, peace, justice, and climate change. We must collaborate and provide equal access to knowledge, resources, and technology. We must build strong partnerships and have an honest global dialogue. Let us commit to these principles and work together to leave no one behind. I wish you all a fruitful and inspiring event. Thank you. Danke schön.
Wonderful. Thank you, Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, for those very inspirational words. You know, your lifelong priorities have been to mobilize business leaders and world leaders around a set of global challenges. And we can absolutely see that lifelong passion just continue to shine through. And you remain so dedicated to ensuring a sustainable future for all. For me personally, today, I felt you set out a very clear call to action to protect our planet by 2030 and pointed out a very important concern, that of the significant technological and economic disparities between, as you say, the global North and South. Right. We are now going to hear from a world-renowned expert with their unique take on the day's theme. Let's kick off with our second guest, Dr. Mark van Rijmenam, a leading AI futurist and TEDx speaker. Dr. Mark is a founder of FutureWise and lives and breathes cutting-edge technologies to inspire companies and governments worldwide. Personally, Mark, I love that you see yourself as an optimistic dystopian, as that balance for you is so crucial. And the fact that you have such a deep understanding of AI, blockchain, metaverse, and other emerging technologies is so impressive. Dr. Mark's impressive achievements include delivering the world's, get this, first TEDx talk in virtual reality format in 2020. I remember watching it back then, and I watched it again last night. And last year, another TEDx talk with your digital twin. That means a virtual replication of himself in lifelike format. And this year, Dr. Mark has launched a digital twin of himself, offering interactive on-demand conversations. That's absolutely brilliant. You truly are bridging the digital and physical world, Mark. Please welcome the 5-time author and absolute visionary to the virtual main stage. Mark, the stage is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Shivvy. What a wonderful introduction, and what a wonderful day to be here at the RELX SDG Inspiration Day. I think it's a very important day and a very important topic to discuss of how can we achieve the SDGs in the next 6 years to achieve the goals that we set out 9 years ago. So I'm going to share a little bit of information about how I see artificial intelligence having an impact on the world, and how it will have both a positive as well as a negative effect on society, because I think it's important to look at both sides of the coin. If I'm correct, you should see my screen right now. And so I'm going to talk about facing a new reality. AI, both the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because as I said, we need to have a balanced perspective on what's ahead of us. I don't have to really give myself an introduction, because that was just done. But here you see my digital twin looking around, and it might come back during the show today as well. As mentioned, I consider myself an optimistic dystopian, and I do that because I think it's really, really important to look at both sides of the coin, and to understand how AI can be used for good for society, as well as how AI can be used to harm society, so we can then mitigate those risks and end up in a thriving digital future. Because if we don't do that, I think we have a challenge as a society to organize embrace artificial intelligence in the right way. I help organizations all around the world, so it's my absolute pleasure to share my insights on how I believe AI can have an impact on the SDGs, which I think is quite phenomenal of how we actually can use artificial intelligence to achieve these goals in the next 6 years ahead of us. Because I do believe that the future is here. I do believe that the world is changing at such a fast pace at the moment that it is almost very hard to keep up at the moment. That is, among others, due to the convergence of different technologies. Obviously, generative AI, as which was sort of first appeared in the public in 2022 with the launch of ChatGPT, the convergence of generative AI on the one hand, but also AI more broadly, as well as other technologies such as blockchain, such as the metaverse, such as quantum computing. I do believe that these are resulting in exponential change that we are experiencing at the moment. And the thing is, the moment you reach exponential change, the world is changing faster almost than you can imagine, and that makes it hard to keep up. And that's also what we see happening in society. Because there is a lot of rumor and noise around artificial intelligence, but the real implications are that not many people are actually using it. And so this is research from the Reuters Institute from a couple of weeks ago, which showed that the number of people who are familiar and who have heard of these tools is actually quite low. So you see on the screen around 40 to 50% have heard of ChatGPT, but then we move to other tools and it drops significantly. While also all these other tools are really, really important, and they can be very beneficial for society to use them and to help us achieve the SDGs. Now, as Jamie Dimon recently stated, he said that AI will be as disruptive as the printing press, the steam engine, electricity, computing, and the internet. Well, personally, I think it should be a combination of all of these because that's how disruptive artificial intelligence will be on society, both good and bad, as we'll see. But it is a $15 trillion opportunity. And this is a $15 trillion opportunity, which is estimated to reach us by 2030. So that's only in 6 years. Research has shown that AI can contribute over $15 trillion to the global economy, which is a significant amount of economic value that it can bring. Personally, I do believe that AI can even bring a lot more value, because AI will be as pervasive as the air we breathe. It will be as pervasive as the energy that we use to power our devices, and it will be integrated into absolutely everything that we do in our society, from every industry, both the personal lives and your business lives. But we have to do it in a correct way. And I think that is really, really important. But let's take a step back, because yes, AI has will have a big impact on society, but it's not something that has been around for the past couple of years. In fact, artificial intelligence has been around for over almost 80 years now. It was first mentioned by the famous Alan Turing, who said in the 1950s that he hoped that he would create so-called thinking machines, and he thought that he could achieve that within the next decade. Obviously, things took a little bit longer than expected, and a little bit longer than anticipated, because since then we have had quite a few AI winters, as they are called, and over the years, different technologies have been developed to bring us to where we are at the moment. The biggest change that's sort of driven all the change that we've seen at the moment in society happened in 2017, when 8 researchers from Google created a paper called "Attention is All You Need." In that paper, they announced the so-called transformers, which is the T in ChatGPT, and that completely changed the game and resulted in ChatGPT being launched several years later. Now, when we talk about artificial intelligence, I do think we need to have a broader perspective, because the idea has always been that when we talk about intelligence, the parochial view is that it goes from sort of the village idiot to Einstein, and that's sort of where intelligence resides. But I do believe we need to have a lot more of a cosmopolitan view, where intelligence starts at the plant level, at the bacteria, to mouse, to chimps, to us humans. But there is not necessarily an upper limit when it comes to intelligence. And I think it's very, very important that we take a more open perspective when we look at intelligence, and especially when we look at artificial intelligence, because it might very well be that we as humans are creating the next evolution in intelligence, and we do not know what the upper limit of this will be. Very, very exciting and very, very scary at the same time, because we are inviting a so-called alien species into our society that we have to be able to understand, that we have to be able to work with. And that's sort of what I'm going to share with you. How can we guide artificial intelligence into the right direction so that it can help us achieve the SDGs? Because I do believe that the world is going through a digital renaissance. I do believe that the world is changing really, really fast. And this is not a renaissance that will take 100 or 200 years, as it did a couple hundred years during the first renaissance, but this is a renaissance that will take 3 to 5 years. And before the end of this decade, I do believe that society will be fundamentally changed, and it will have a big impact on everything that we do. Now, the saying often always goes when we talk about digital, that data is the new oil. Because we need data to train our machine learning models, and we need data to gain insights and to find the patterns of what's happening. But I do believe that that is actually not the case, because yes, we need data, but compute power is actually a lot more important, because without the right compute power, there's not much we can do. And that's also what we see happening at the moment, that especially big tech is really stacking up in terms of these graphical processing units, GPUs, which are really expensive. They come at $30,000 or $40,000 a pop, and big tech is really buying hundreds of thousands of these machines to power the next version, next iteration of these large language models that are being developed. So we can really state that at the moment we are in an arms race to build the next generation large language model, to really build the next generation of artificial intelligence. And that is super exciting, because things are moving really, really fast. If I'm on a long-haul flight without internet, I am almost out of date when I arrive. But it is really important to stay up to date with what's happening. And obviously, if there's an arms race, a lot of investors think that there's a lot of money to be made, and that's what we see happening at the moment. There's a French company called Mistral, which is just over a year old, which raised $645 million at a $6 billion valuation. These are insane numbers for a company that's just over a year old. We have seen Amazon investing in the startup Anthropic, which is developing Claude. And we saw another French company, which is called H, which raised $220 million only a couple of weeks ago, without even having a website so much. So there's a lot of hype going on in the venture capital world, because everyone believes, and I agree with that artificial intelligence is the next big thing that will change our society, hopefully for the better. Because what we see happening at the moment is that with these generative AI tools, there's a lot more possible than was before.
That was an illuminating start to the day with Dr. Márcia Balisciano, Dr. Mark van Rijmenam, and Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. Thank you to all of them for framing the day's topics. And if you have thoughts on their sessions, please don't hold back. Share on social media using hashtag SDG Inspiration Day.